All right, so today we are starting with lesson 11, level 1, okay, in code.org. This is the unit 3 animation and games in code.org CS discoveries, okay? So today we're going to do, the class starts out by using booleans to compare the current value of a sprite property with a target value, okay? So this is where we're going to finally start getting into the coding for how a game is actually going to work, because Boolean values are going to be used very heavily. And then later on in this, we're also going to learn how to use if statements, okay? So we are going to discuss how Booleans are going to be able to compare that current value of a sprite property with a target value using the comparison to determine when a sprite has reached a point on the screen, has grown to a given size, or otherwise reached a value using the counter pattern. Okay. After using Booleans directly to investigate the values of sprite properties, we're going to add conditional if statements to write code that responds to those Boolean comparisons. Okay, so a Boolean expression in a program is an expression that evaluates to true or false. An if statement is the common programming structure that implements conditional statements. Okay, so we're going to practice those here. So go ahead and press continue. So this Boolean expression we've got here, we want to read this code and decide whether or not which one of these answers down below we think is going to output the correct answer. So if you scroll down in the instructions, it's a multiple choice question, okay? Decision making on computers are based on statements called Boolean expressions. A Boolean expression is any expression that can only evaluate to either true or false. This can be particularly useful when used to compare the properties of two sprites. For example, you could figure out which one is larger or placed higher up. In the next few puzzles, we'll use simple Boolean expressions to compare sprite properties. So we're going to read this code below here. So I'm going to ask someone to go to the board here in a second. But first, let's take a look at line 1 and 2. So variable 1, or variable sprite 1 on line 1 is creating a sprite, and it's just creating a random gray box, okay, at the x value of 100 and the y value of 200, okay? And on line 2, our variable sprite 2 is being created at an x value of 300 and a y value of 200, okay? So we understand the x and the y values of that before. We've seen that line of code before. What we haven't seen before is line 5, where it says console.log sprite.y, so the y value of sprite 1, and then it says equals the sprite 2 value of the y property. So sprite 1's y is equal to sprite 2's y. Is that true? Looking, sprite 1's y is equal to sprite 2's y, which is true. Yes, we agree. They're both 200. Okay, so what line 5 is going to do now is it's going to print out true down in the, it would print out true down in this bottom debug console. Okay, that's where that console.log is printing to. So if we take a look, so line 5 is printing out true to that console.log. Line 6, it says console.log sprite 1's x value is greater than sprite 2's x value. Is that true? That's false. So it's going to print a false. So right now it's going to print true, and then underneath that it's going to print false. Okay. And then for line 7, it says sprite 1's x is less than sprite 2's y, which is true. So we've got true, false, true. Okay. So scroll down in your examples here and find the one that says true, false, true. For me, it is A, which I'm pretty sure it's A for all of us. We can go ahead and press run. It prints out both of those, and then we look down here in this debug console down in the bottom, and it says true, false, true. Okay, so we're going to end up using that debug console a lot this lesson. Okay, so be sure to be looking down there. So we can go ahead and press finish, and this next one is a video, and we're going to skip this video just because it's sometimes easier just to explain. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and press continue there. So lesson 11, level 4 is the one that we are on. So this one, it says Boolean expressions. The simplest Boolean expressions are questions that a computer can answer with true or false. Another way to say that is that the Boolean expressions evaluate to true or false. So it says do this. Can you modify the values of the sprite properties so that each of the Boolean expression evaluates to true? So at the end of this lesson, we want down in that console.log, we want it to say true a bunch of times. Okay. So we're not going to change anything after this. So if we take a look at the code here, okay, on line 13, it says don't edit the following. I'm serious. So any of this stuff we don't want to edit. Okay. Instead, what we want to do is we want to edit lines 3 through 11 so that all of these 14 through 18 print out true. Okay, if I press run right now, I've got all of them that print out false. Okay, if I look here, all of these are printing out false. Comparison 1 through 5 is false. Okay, so on line 14, it says console.log comparison 1, sprite 2's x is equal to sprite 2's y. So the x and y in sprite 2 are equal. Okay, so I need to change that. What line do I go to change that? To edit sprite 2's x and y value. Line 8, right? So do we want to change the x or the y? Go ahead and change either one. We'll change the x, and it needs to be changed to 200 then. Okay, so now if I press run, comparison 1 is now true down in the debug console. Okay. Comparison 2, sprite 2's rotation property is less than 40. What line do I go to for that? Line 10, and we need to make it less than 40. We can make it 39. We can make it 39.99. Okay, I'm going to make it 30 because it needs to be less than 40, right? So I press run. Now 2 of them are true. Okay, next, I've got comparison 3. Sprite 1's scale property is equal to sprite 2's scale property. So sprite 1 and 2's scale are equal. What line do we want to change? 6? Okay, let's change it to 0.5 because that's what the other one is, right? If I go to line 11, sprite 2's dot scale is equal to 0.5. I press run. Line 3 is correct now. Okay, comparison 4. Sprite 1's x is greater than 150. Sprite 1's x is greater than 150. It's not. Where do I go to change that? Line 3. I have to make it greater than 150. Okay, what should I make it? Okay, 160. That works. I press run. My line 4 is true now. Go to console.log comparison 5. Sprite 2's y is less than 200. Sprite 2's y is less than 200. What line do I go to for that? Line 8. And it's this second number. It's got to be less than 200. What should I change it to? Okay, 190. I go ahead and press reset and run. But now my comparison 1 changed to false. Let's go back to that one. Sprite 2's x is equal to sprite 2's y. So sprite 2's x and y have to be equal, so I need to change this x value to 190. Now I change them and they're true. Okay, so at the very end of this, I should have sprite 1's x and y should be 160, 200. The rotation should be 30, and the scale should be 0.5. Sprite 2's x and y, 190, 190. Rotation is 30, scale is 0.5. Okay, go ahead and press finish. We good on that one?